you can still find a way, and that's the difference. I despise the term "if there's a will, there's a way," because it was used in a very, very toxic way for me. But if your habits are in place and your convictions are strong, you will find a way to achieve the results you want to achieve. It's very easy to give up. It's very easy to step away. It's very, very easy to throw away months, if not years, of hard work. But what's hard is sustaining it. Welcome to The Bear Perspective. I'm Bear Malik. I'm a student of life and I study psychology. I want to share with you some lessons and perspectives that I wish I could have learned a lot sooner in life. You know how in January, people tend to join a gym and they imagine themselves becoming a regular gym goer with the intentions of arriving to summer with the body that they envisioned they can have. But you give it about 3 weeks, maybe 4 for some. Something gets in the way. They don't go. They miss a day or two. The day or two becomes a week. The week becomes 2 weeks. And before you know it, you're looking up how to get out of the gym contract that you signed in January. Why does that happen? We all clearly want to improve. We want to make changes in our lives. And sometimes going cold turkey or making big, massive changes seems like the only option. But the thing is, if you're going to try and make a massive leap, more often than not, you're going to fall. You're going to go back to comfort. You're going to go back to the chaos that is your life without achieving what you set out to achieve. And how does that work? If you want to make, or if you want to commit to self-improvement, you want to take tiny steps. Imagine I gave you a ball and I just said, get it in the goal. You'd look around. You wouldn't see an obvious goal. You would maybe ask, where's the goal? I guess that's the point. The point being, you can't make any progression. You can't hit the goal if you don't know what the goal is to begin with. Now, if I balled up a piece of paper and said, throw that in the bin, you'd look around. You'd maybe spot the bin under a desk somewhere. You have a couple of options. You could try and throw it, and you might miss, you might not. You could get up off your chair, take a few steps towards the bin, bend down and just let it go. Now, out of those two scenarios, which one almost guaranteed success? The one that you took the time to assess the situation, you looked around your room, you found the goal, you then prepared, stood up, and took the necessary steps required to then place the paper in the bin. Now, if you step back and look at your life, and you think you have a goal set somewhat in the future, have you assessed your situation? Have you broken down the steps required for you to achieve that goal with ease? Or have you assessed the situation? Have you even begun moving in the right direction for you to be able to hit the goal? And chances are you haven't. Now, if we use the gym as an example, you join the gym and suddenly you go in, you're not entirely sure what you want to do. You see a variety of machines, you see a bunch of weights, you see treadmills and push bikes and rowing machines, and you know you want to do something in there, but you don't know what. You know you want to be fitter, but what does that actually look like? Have you spelled out what your end outcome is? Because fitness for many people means different things. Fitness for one could be being able to run a marathon. Fitness for another would be being able to lift their newborn child up for a long period of time. Fitness for another could be, I want to be able to play football with my child. For someone else, it could just be, I want to look amazing. But even then, what does amazing look like? What's your perception of amazing? What is your goal? Do you want the body of an athlete? Do you want the body of a strongman? Do you want the body of a swimmer? Do you want the body of a marathon runner? They're all amazing aesthetics in their own right, but it depends on what your perception is and what your goal is. But you need to spell it out. And when I say spell it out, I mean down to the T. Let's assume for a moment you want to get into bodybuilding. Some of you might not know this, but there's many different types of bodybuilding. There's classical physique, there's people who are allowed to use performance-enhancing drugs, and there's people who are not allowed to use performance-enhancing drugs. There's some people who do it to show off how much muscle they can grow. There's even weight categories. You need to decide not only where your goal is, but which part of the goal do you want to hit. Do you want to grow big and huge muscles, or do you want to create the classic physique of Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example, as we spoke about in the last episode? So let's assume you've picked your goal. You've picked your Everest, that massive adventure and a end goal that you want to strive for. Great. Now break down those steps. First, you need to point in the right direction. If you've picked the top of Everest to be your goal, you need to point towards Everest to begin with. Then you need to sit down and plan your path. Now, plan your path, sit down. What is the easiest route to get there? Assume your Everest is a PhD. What do I need to do to be able to achieve the PhD? What do I need to consume as education? What do I need to learn? Who do I need to associate myself with? Where do I need to even get the information, the gear for my trek up Everest? Then you accumulate that information and set out your plan. Then you take one step towards your end goal. What's the one thing that will take you one step closer to your goal? And what's the one thing that will give you momentum to go in that goal? And when I say momentum, replace it with motivation. We'll speak about motivation soon, but the short of it is you won't ever find motivation. Motivation is something that you cultivate, something that you build yourself. You must begin the task before motivation hits you. So how do you start making a move towards your goal? You find the challenge, find the first hurdle, find the first thing that you must do to take that first step. And it's going to be hard, and you're going to want to procrastinate, and you're going to think about all the reasons that make sense to you to say that, maybe I'll just start tomorrow. And the thing is, most of you have heard this before. Tomorrow never comes. So you need to find a way of doing it today. Is the first step in that whole process just going online and doing some research? Figuring out the right steps? Is it picking up the phone and asking Uncle Dave, hey, what can you tell me about this job? If you want to get a job where a close friend of yours works, I get this question from some people who are aspiring paramedics. And there's a few of them that have very consistently said to me over the last few years, I want to become a paramedic, but have done very little to get there. And then there's others that quietly went and took the steps, and before I even knew it, they were there driving an ambulance. But they took the steps. They called the right people. They spoke to the people who knew what needs to be done. Other people who are paramedics who had to go through the process. Because it's all well and good trying to carve a path less travelled. However, if there is already a path that has been travelled, why not speak to the adventurers who went before you? Who can tell you to watch out for missteps? Who can tell you perhaps don't take this path because it will add 2 days to your journey? Speak to the people that you want to get to your goal, if you can't assess the situation for yourself. Now, to do this, you're going to need to work on your habits. And again, treat your habits as a goal you want to attain. Do you want to smoke less? Do you want to drink less? Do you want to walk more? Do you want to go to the gym more? Do you want to read more? Do you want to spend more time with family? Do you want to spend more time with your parents? If that's your goal, put it in place. Paint that picture in your head. What does that goal look like? Do you want to spend your Sunday afternoons with your parents, having a Sunday lunch, with your partner, with your children, in play so the family is together? Or does it mean you want to be the one that invites your family around yours for Sunday lunch? Do you want to be the gel that holds your family together? The one whose table everyone sits around and then seeks your guidance? Do you want to be that person? Paint that picture for yourself. Then figure out what's the best way to do it. How do you get there? First, you need a table. You need a dining room. You need to get enough chairs for your family members to sit on. Then your Sunday lunches need to be cooked. Are you going to cook them? Is your partner going to cook them? Are you going to do it as a family? Who's going to set the table? How are you going to set the table? Is your family available on a Sunday for Sunday lunch? Have you considered the needs of others? And if you want that to become a habit, put it in place. Make the first invitation. Call the family. Call your brother. Call your sister. Say, let's have dinner. And say, we should do this more often. Plant the seed with your family. If that is something you want, ask for it. Don't ask for it. Demand it. If that is what you want. If you can plan for it well enough, it will be achievable. So, let's break this down into smaller habits. Do you want your life to be less chaotic? Do you wake up in the mornings trying to figure out where your keys are? Where's your shoes? Where's your child's uniform? Are you about to get into the car in time to be able to drop the kids off to school? If not, What's stopping you? Okay, so now you're assessing the situation. The house is a chaos in the morning because someone doesn't wake up quick enough, or doesn't wake up on time, rather. The mornings become chaotic because my keys are never in the same place. That's a relatively easy fix. Hang your keys up by the door. The shoes go in place. What's the one thing you can do in the evening before you go to bed that will help the you of tomorrow? We refer to this as WOOP. WOOP. Stands for wish, outcome, obstacle, and the plan. Your wish is to have a less chaotic good morning. So before you go to bed, you would ensure your keys are in place. Ensure the hurdles from the prior day are no longer in place. The shoes, the uniform, lunch, whatever the hurdle was that caused the chaos, put those in place. So what's your wish? A less chaotic morning. What's the outcome? Peace and leaving home on time. What's the obstacle? Not having your keys in place, not having your phone in the right place, not having the uniform prepared the night before. And what's the plan? To ensure those things are done before you go to bed. And don't necessarily have to think of it as you taking on all of the responsibility, but make it a habit. This is the habit that you want to imbue onto yourself and your children and your partner. Then plan. How does that feel when in your own body compared to the vague chaos? Not even vague chaos, the absolute utter chaos from the previous day. You can finish your washing up, put the children to bed, then take 5 minutes to set your following day in order. And that's step one in building a better habit. Now, what if you want to get rid of a habit? A bad habit that you know is terrible for you. It could be anything. It could be smoking, drinking, it could be gambling, it could be anything you deem you want to rid of. Let's use smoking for an example. You smoke 20, 30 cigarettes a day. How can you make an improvement the following day? Now, if you try to cut cold turkey, that might work, that might not. I know plenty of people who've gone cold turkey and survived. But go back to the balled up piece of paper and the bin. Going cold turkey, imagine that being you launching that balled up piece of paper across the room in hopes of it landing in the bin. There is definitely a non-zero chance that it will go into the bin, but it's not a very high chance. Depends on your aim, depends on your conviction, depends on everything. But what's the one thing that was guaranteed to land that balled up piece of paper in the bin? Assessing the situation, getting up and taking the necessary steps to get it to the goal, and then dropping it into the bin. So break it down for smoking. You smoke 30 cigarettes a day. You know that's bad for you. You know you want to quit. You know you want to see your children grow up and walk your daughter down the aisle. And this terrible habit is what's going to stop you from doing that. So then you wake up and you smoke 29 cigarettes the following day. It's not a big difference, but it's one. It's one cigarette step away from an early death. Then you get up the following day and you smoke 28 cigarettes. Again, it's not much different, from 30, give or take 2 or 3 cigarettes. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But it's still one less than it was yesterday. You wake up the following day and only smoke 27. And another day, 26, and another day, 25. And you make smaller and smaller steps and then assess your situation a few weeks down the line. And suddenly you've gone from 30 cigarettes down to 15. You've halved your bad habit. Now, throughout the day, you're going to find struggles. As a smoker myself, you're going to find an excuse to want to have another cigarette. Just the mere mention of one can trigger someone into wanting to smoke. Just the mere habit of getting into a car or getting up in the morning or just after having food can trigger the reminder that I would like to have a cigarette right now. I'm guilty of it too. But find fewer excuses to have that cigarette. I know I have mine. As soon as I wake up, I must have one. As soon as I have a cup of tea, I would like to have one. But now that you're limiting the number of cigarettes you can have, you limit the number of triggers that can activate your need for that habit. Again, whether it's smoking, drinking, gambling, or otherwise. So fine, I can't have a cigarette with every cup of tea anymore. Endure that cup of tea without that bad habit. Fine, I can't have a cup of tea after dinner anymore. Maybe I can still have one at lunch. And enjoy it while it lasts, because the following week even lunch will go. Maybe I need to stop having a cigarette when I wake up so I can still have that cigarette before I go to bed. That's a fair compromise. And enjoy that, because in time, even that is one that you're going to have to give up, but make those tiny steps towards that goal of giving up that bad habit. Now, it's all well and good saying this, but how do you monitor this progress of either getting a new habit going or removing a bad habit? Believe it or not, a simple checklist, a simple tick box on the fridge, a simple tally will do more than you can even imagine right now. Do you want to learn how to run further and further until you can achieve a marathon? Then fine, every time you go training, you're going to run a set distance. Let's say it's 26 kilometers is your goal. Fine, the first week or the first time you train, run 1 kilometer. The next time you train, run 1.5 kilometers. It's going to be difficult. Following week, run 2 kilometers. But write it down. Make a note. Track your progress. With cigarettes, mark how many cigarettes you're going to have in that day. Tally them or cross them off. Or only pull out 30 cigarettes or 20 or how many ever. Pull out that many cigarettes, and that way you've got a visual cue to see how many you have left, so then you can start to plan ahead. Okay, I only have 4 cigarettes left for the rest of the day. I still need to drive home, I still need to have dinner, I still need to walk the dog, and I still need to go to bed. And normally I have another cigarette here and there, so guess what? Those are the ones that you can't have today, so they're the 4 that you're limiting yourself to. And track your progress, and there's nothing more satisfying to the human mind than to complete a task list. Imagine 6 tick boxes on a piece of paper stuck on the fridge. And you come back by 6 o'clock in the evening and you go up to the fridge and you check every single one of those off. The satisfaction and pride that you feel silently within yourself will feel better than you can even imagine right now. So, with all this being said, people will have on days and off days. You do have to remember to be compassionate, self-compassionate, but at the same time, hold yourself accountable. If you've had an absolutely terrible day at work and you really need that drink after work, perhaps allow yourself one, maybe. But you do need to really look within yourself and see whether that one drink is going to be the first step onto a slippery slope back to where you began, or is it genuinely just that, just the one drink? Did you have an incredibly stressful experience where you almost crashed your car and you need a cigarette to just calm your nerves? Will that one cigarette be just that, the one cigarette for that one moment in time? Or is that going to throw away the weeks, if not months, of hard work that you've put in to throw it all away and begin smoking again? And again, I've been there. I've done it for far fewer reasons and less important agitations in life. I took up smoking again because I stubbed my toe on a desk, not a coffee table. It was a computer desk, and I stubbed my toe on it, and that ruined about 2 months of hard work. And I became a smoker immediately because I needed one cigarette in that moment. But I didn't look back on myself, and I didn't assess my value, or the value of that cigarette, or not the value, the expense of that cigarette. Now, when it comes to going to the gym, life happens. Things happen. You twist an ankle. You can miss a day or two. But self-compassion will keep you in the game if you narrate the story to yourself correctly. You've twisted your ankle, it's okay to miss a day. You've twisted your ankle, it's okay to miss another day from the gym, but do not miss more than 2 days. You've twisted your ankle, but the rest of your body still works. You can still go to the gym, just do not do anything to damage your ankle any further. There is still your arms, there is still your back, there is still every other muscle group in your body that you can still address and tend to and care for and grow by still continuing to go to the gym. There's the harsh voice in the back of our head that belittles us, that tells us we're not good enough. There's also the compassionate voice that we need to allow to speak up more. Yes, my ankle hurts. Yes, I am in pain. And yes, I want to give myself a day of rest. Yes, I'm going to allow myself 2 days of rest, but no more. I've allowed myself to rest. I can still do things. I can still address the rest of my body. I can still go to the gym. I can still go to work. If it's something that you can't physically go into work for, you can still work from home. You can still find a way, and that's the difference. I despise the term "if there's a will, there's a way," because it was used in a very, very toxic way for me. But if your habits are in place and your convictions are strong, you will find a way to achieve the results you want to achieve. It's very easy to give up. It's very easy to step away. It's very, very easy to throw away months, if not years, of hard work. But what's hard is sustaining it. And you want to sustain it. And if it was easy, everyone would do it. But it's hard. And why do we do the hard things? Because there is almost always a pot of gold at the end of that challenge. There is always a winning purse at the end of a boxing match. There is always the gold medal at the end of the challenge of the Olympics. They're all challenges. They're all hard things to do. They are all difficult. They're supposed to be. It's life. And it's probably the first time I'm mentioning this on this podcast, but my interpretation of the meaning of life is perseverance in spite of struggle. Continue to persevere, and you will achieve that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.